Okay, hi and welcome back to another tutorial in a series covering OCR's AS Media Studies course. Today we're going to be looking at exam section B, the unit that is called Institutions and Audiences. So we've covered these previously, a couple of introductory tutorials that are on the website if you want to go and look up for some background detail, but now we're going to jump into the 7 bullet points which are taken from page 19 of OCR's AS course specification, and from which all exam questions are going to be drawn. These are the major issues that inform the study of institutions and audiences, though it should be noted that several of the bullet points overlap with one another in their knowledge requirements, so there is a need for you to not simply fully understand what the issues raised are, but to be able to process and, importantly, synthesize the information and be able to recall it at will in order to apply it to the demands of specific exam questions. Now, I know I've flicked down those very quickly, but we're going to look at each one in depth. So the first major point is the issues raised by media ownership in contemporary media practice. Contemporary here just meaning current, in the modern day where we live in now. So what this is really about is understanding who owns the media product, whether it's a major institution or an independent, and how will the status of the institution, whether they are big or small essentially, impact on how they engage with the major stages of the production process. So what you really need to be able to do here is to have an understanding of the depth and range of ownership within the media and what the consequences are of this ownership for audiences in terms of the kind of genres they might expect to see when they go to the cinema and the budgets for films. So for instance, we need to look at how an organisation like Film 4 can survive in the British marketplace against high concept, big budget films made by the likes of previously mentioned Rupert Murdoch's company, News International or News Corp, which owns Fox, or indeed Warner Brothers or Disney or Universal. You know, how do you compete when you're a small company? What kind of niche audiences are left for Film 4 to attract? Or mass audiences out of reach for a company like Film 4, given the kind of genres of films and the budgets that they have to make? Well, you could argue yes, without a shadow of a doubt they are. But then we can also look at how successful they have been in reaching mass audiences with their films and how that is done through a process of marketing. And then there's the question raised about how healthy it is that a few of these major international organisations can own such a huge range of media and basically decide what the public sees and what the public doesn't see, and indeed perhaps shape the audience's taste. I mean, are the producers of media responding to what audiences want, or do audiences simply take what they're given? This question was raised in an earlier tutorial. Now moving on to the second issue raised. Here we're considering the importance of cross-media convergence and synergy in production, distribution and marketing. Okay, so I mean obviously we need to know what these two key phrases mean. Synergy is essentially about businesses working together, generally different business entities operating within an umbrella organisation. So for example, Disney products, films, merchandising that is created by a film company have an outlet in multiple Disney stores around the country, around the world rather. So it pursues the idea that there's no point in having just one single product. There's no point in just making a film if you can have a soundtrack, some cuddly toys, maybe a video game that you can release through any number of different outlets, use any number of your different organizations within one large group to exploit as much of the market as possible. The idea of cross-media convergence really takes in two specific issues. So we have the idea of technological convergence, which is essentially technologies coming together. So you know, you have nowadays we have our phones that we can use, still in moving image cameras, download and play movies on, they can record audio, can play audio, and access the internet with, as with many other different technologies that are increasingly prevalent and increasingly used by people. The second area of convergence that we might want to talk about as well is the idea that as media industries diversify, as they look for different avenues of selling their product, they are distributing across a range of different media. So basic terms, you're looking at a newspaper that has an online version and might have audio podcasts or interviews, or the way in recent years video games have increasingly come together with films. So you have films frequently being made out of video games. Often they tend to be big blockbuster action kind of movies, because that also taps into the kind of core market that perhaps the video game would have had. So it's all done in a very clever way. And there's no question that with digital technology enabling various media to converge in these hubs or platforms, devices, mobile phones, get new high definition television sets, PlayStations, iPads, etc. These are all examples of hubs in which a variety of media technologies can converge. All this is for the convenience of the user. And media convergence is having an enormous impact on the film industry because of the ways in which institutions can produce and market for audiences on a widening range of different platforms capable of receiving their films. Synergies can come out of an organization's size. Smaller media organizations like Channel 4 can cross-promote their films. But the scale of cross-media promotion is nowhere near as great as that can be gained by massive media organizations. So where it's useful to use the new technologies if you're a small institution or a small producer of media, and you can set up a website to promote your film, send text to potential trendsetters, try and get somebody interested at Time Out to write about it, and then he'll send an email to all his friends, and you have this kind of viral quality to the marketing of your film. It's a lot different when the heavy hitters get involved. When the big studios start using this technology, what they can do with it is really beyond anything imaginable for smaller institutions. We're talking about absolute saturation promotion. They'll take over websites. You know, you'll see if a new movie's coming out, a new big movie's coming out, every time you go into Google, every time you go into Yahoo, you're going to be hit with pop-up ads, trailers for the movie. They'll take over the home pages of certain websites. They'll do it with Yahoo. They'll do it with IMDb. It's endless. So while there are real benefits for the smaller producers of media, there are even larger benefits for the big producers of media. And consequently, we can't really talk about there being a level playing field for the small producer media versus the big institutions. Okay, thanks for listening. Please check back for any upcoming tutorials.